Over the years, our kids have had a lot of illnesses. 6 kids means a lot of childhood sniffles and coughs. And when our kids weren't feeling well, it affected our entire home. Luckily, some clever guys in Brisbane have come up with the perfect solution: Rehydrate.
Rehydrate are delicious drinks that rehydrate up to 3 times faster than water alone, packed with essential electrolytes. Rehydrate is one of the few rehydration products that is safe for all ages. Stock up at Coles and be prepared whenever illness strikes. It's not about getting your kids through uni. It's about getting university through your kids. It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. Hello, my name is Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm joined by my wife, and co-host, Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie. And we are the parents of 6 daughters. I've written 6 books about raising happy families. I think we're doing okay trying to raise a happy family.
You think?
Oh, I think we're doing okay.
I think we're doing the best we can.
Fair call. We are doing the best we can.
Well, last week, Justin, you posted something on our social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram, which got a pretty big response from our communities.
Yeah.
Our second daughter had her formal.
Year 12 formal.
Her year 12
This is
formal.
our second child finishing high school.
That's right. But
Pretty
that
cool.
wasn't actually what got the response, even though she was beautiful and we got lots of responses about her dress.
Yeah, where'd you buy the dress? I'm like, well, I don't know. We couldn't remember the shop we bought it from. Anyway, the key response was?
People were really interested with the approach that we'd taken with her studies this year, specifically allowing her a bit of breathing space and taking away pressure from having to perform to a certain standard. Yeah,
so basically in the social media post, what I basically said was, we've got this kid, we think she's just adorable, and we're her biggest fans, which is what parents are supposed to say, right? We love our kids and we really want to celebrate them. But then I highlighted not just the importance of milestones and celebrations, but I said this: she's decided that at this point, university is not where she wants to be, which has meant that this year we have not had any pressure. She's going to do a traineeship next year and get a qualification, a certificate qualification, and use the experience to help guide her decisions into the future. I highly recommend this approach to parents of children who are not clear on what they want to do for university. Perhaps we'll talk about that in the future. So I figured we should maybe talk about it today because the comments pretty much went off.
I think that, in general, our seniors are under an enormous amount of pressure. We seem to think that there's only one pathway to success.
Yeah, and that's the educational pathway. In fact, I was having a chat with a school principal just the other day, and they've got what they might call advanced classes or an advanced placement course that goes from one grade to the next, to the next, to the next. This is in a public high school. And the reason they've done that is because there's some kids that really are, I guess you'd call them high achievers, and they want to be on a university pathway. And sometimes when they're in classes with kids that don't have the same educational goals, the class can be a little bit challenging for them because they want to learn. And some kids are perhaps a little bit less interested in pursuing those learning aspirations. But what this school principal said to me was, the kids have picked up this idea that they're somehow superior, they're somehow better people because their career trajectory, their educational career trajectory is aligned with a university path. And said, how do we teach them that it's actually not about your career, it's about your character? I thought that was really important. And a lot of parents, we've got this aspiration that we will see our children maybe go to university and have the high-flying career and that kind of thing. And I can't tell you how many parents and how many students and how many school principals and how many counselors and psychologists I've talked to who are saying this experience of year 11 and 12, particularly year 12, is so taxing, so very, very taxing on our students.
We've had a couple of experiences in our own home as we watched you, who for all intents and purposes was pretty much a high school dropout, go through your own metamorphosis as you started as a radio announcer and thoroughly enjoyed that career for some years before deciding that you actually really wanted to go to university and explore learning and growth in a totally different area.
There's this saying that I have, and that is that your kids don't belong at university. So once I finished my radio career, for those of you who haven't heard the story, here's the 10-second version. I dropped out of radio, went back to school. I'd had a very successful radio career. I ended up at one of the biggest radio stations in the country. spent nearly a decade as a student, full-time with all of our kids, and then became a university lecturer. I was working there, under contract and teaching these classes. And these kids would come from year 12 straight into university to study psychology. And I can't say it more clearly. Kids, just don't send your kids to university. They don't belong there. University is not for kids. It's for adults. The number of times that I had these kids come to me and say, I don't even know why I'm here. I hate doing this. And my university bill's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm not interested in anything. And I'm just here because I have to be. If you're an adult or if you're a young person who knows what you want to do, then go to university 100% and give it everything. But it's not about getting your kids through uni. It's about getting university through your kids. And if they're not at a point where university is going to go through them and change them, then they shouldn't be there. And we realised that with our second daughter. We learned a lot with our first daughter. You make all the mistakes with the first one. I'm so sorry, kiddo, if she's listening. We love her. But we made that mistake of really demanding, forcing her, go to university. She didn't get the grades she wanted.
She didn't. And then she actually started university in a course that she was really very interested in.
She was, yeah.
But bombed out in one of her exams. And
I don't think she even passed first semester on reflection.
No, I think you're right. And as a result of that, just her passion and drive just disintegrated overnight.
But really, she shouldn't have been there. She was still a kid and she didn't really know why she was there or what she was doing.
And so she decided she was not going back. She pulled out. She went and got herself a full-time job because in our house we have a rule that once you leave high school, you're either learning or you're earning.
Let's talk about that in some level of detail. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson. I'm here with my wife, Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie Coulson. We're talking about how to have the conversation about what to do after year 12 with your children, especially if they're perhaps not quite ready to be on a university track. And we were, I guess, just summarising, when you've got this year 12 daughter who's now gone to university, it hasn't worked out. She pretty much said to us, I'm just going to work at the cafe 15 hours a week, hang out with some friends, have a gap year, and I'll think about what to do after that. And our response, well, you used the phrase, and we stole it from Premier Peter Beattie from back when he was the Queensland Premier, you need to be
earning or learning.
And she looked at us like, what do you mean?
She wasn't happy with the response, was she?
So the rule is full-time. If we love our kids, but we've also let them know that once they turn 18, technically we don't really have a financial responsibility to them. They need to make their own way in the world. That means learning hard lessons, but we figure it's much easier to learn those lessons when you're 18 or 19 than when you're 34.
Well, and to learn them in the safety of your home, with us there to guide and direct them. But we also want them to learn to be independent and recognise and value the things that come with adult living and life.
So we should talk about this in another podcast, this idea that once our kids get a job, we charge them board. And that's a certain percentage of their income. We can talk about that later. But we said to Chanel, if you want to quit university, that's your choice. We actually recognised that it was probably the right decision. And so we were very comfortable with her making that choice. But we said, you're not working at the cafe down the road. You're going to have a full-time job or you're going to study full-time doing something else, maybe a TAFE qualification or something like that. But it's full-time earning or full-time learning.
And in her defence, she actually did that. She went out and got herself a full-time job.
She had a dummy spit first.
A good paying job. She's been working full-time. But after about 18 months of working in this full-time job, she realised that this was probably not where she wanted to be and definitely not long-term. Like I said, she was already enrolled in a course that she actually was really interested in and loved. It's a passion of hers and has been since she was a little girl.
And let's be honest, the job that she got was a low skill and therefore, and I don't say this with any disrespect, but it's a low paid, low status job because when you don't have any skills, you don't usually get paid particularly well and you don't get a whole lot of status from it. We're not particularly interested, by the way, in whether or not she's got high pay or low pay or high status or low status. What we're interested in is whether or not the job enlarges our children as people.
Life satisfaction.
Yeah, and are they growing? And it's the kind of job where there's not a whole lot of growth opportunity. You show up, you do the same thing, you go home, that kind of thing. So we would always encourage our kids to be trying to find work where they're serving, making a difference, making a contribution and growing as people. And so, 18 months in, and she's turned around and gone,
she did, and it was probably a big highlight for us as parents, having watched her go through this process and to get to her own space where she decided and felt like this was actually an avenue she wanted to pursue. So she originally went to university because we told her she needed to, and she's come out of that, gone into the real big world and tried living, adult life, working day in, day out, smashing herself, and started to recognize that she actually wants to tap into these skills that she has and this passion that she has. And she started back at TAFE this time, decided to go hands-on.
And uni's in the future. That's her intention. And I think the moral of the story is when we force our kids, it often doesn't work out so well. There's a couple of other points that we should make in wrapping up. And the first point is that life changes when you leave school. So when I used to run workshops before COVID happened, and I'd have a room full of adults and I'd be talking to year 12 parents, I'd ask them, how many of you are still doing the same job that you thought you'd be doing, the one that you went and studied for, the one that you qualified for at university? How many of you are using your university degree every day? And there's normally about 25% of people who say yes. The other 75% are like, yeah, no, I've changed careers. Life has taken a very different trajectory to what I was expecting. Gone are the days where you've got a job for a life. The other thing that's worth highlighting from my point of view, and I know you've got a couple of take-home messages as well, but the other thing that I really want to highlight is I can't tell you how many people I know now who have gone back to school in their late 20s, their 30s, even their 40s as mature age students, found alternative pathways into school, and university has gone through them. And they've gone on to become medical doctors, or they've gotten their PhDs, or they've gone and gotten a master's and become a psychologist, or whatever it might be. But it's kind of never too late. And if your child's not ready, they're not ready. Don't put the pressure on them. Let them enjoy year 12.
And I think that that's my take home from all of this, is just giving our children the time and space they need to grow, to work out what it is that they actually want to do. Our daughter in year 10 actually had a conversation with a teacher just recently as she was starting to prepare for year 11. And her teacher actually told her at that point, if she didn't know what she wanted to do after she left school, then she was really a lost cause.
No.
I couldn't believe it at 16 years of age.
Oh, gosh.
How
we need to have a conversation. I need to do a workshop at that school.
Sounds like it. So that was one of my take-homes. And then my last one is just that year 12 is so much easier when we just take the pressure off our children's need to perform and just allow them the space to be and to work through that process at their own pace. If we're so focused on grades, if we're so focused on outcomes, then we probably are going to miss some of the most important factors in our children's well-being overall.
Yeah, great stuff. We really hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. If you do enjoy the podcast, please visit Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave a rating and review. Takes you probably about 2 or 3 minutes, but my goodness, it makes a difference. The reviews and the ratings are what help people to find the podcast and have happier families. If you'd like more information, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at Dr. Justin Coulson's Happy Families. And please join us at happyfamilies.com.au for the Happy Families memberships. More and more people signing up for those memberships every single day. Family keeps on getting bigger, I guess you could say. And remember, with the Happy Families membership, we've got them because happy families don't just happen.